moving into this next portion of the Women Action Takers Summit, where we're going to be talking about, building a profitable network. And how do you do that? Well, there's lots of ways to do a term that I don't like using, so I'm not going to use it. You just have to wonder what that term was. But there's lots of ways to do something in business, in our personal life. And I'm going to be sharing with you something that's worked for me and it's worked really well. And so hopefully you'll find some tremendous value out of this and be able to incorporate into your own world, your own life. So just so you know, I have my notes written down here, so I'll be looking down here every once in a while. So what we're going to be talking about is building this profitable network. We have networks out there. We're all here today. We're connecting with each other through this network here, the Women Action Takers Network. And there's so many different networks out there. But how are you making sure that the network that you're involved with is a network that is going to help you to be profitable? And it's not just about profit. It's not just about money. But here's one thing I know about you. One thing I do know is that you are making a positive impact on this planet. You're here right now. You're here because you want to learn. You're here because you want to grow. You're here because you want to change your life. You want to incorporate some new structures into your business. There's so many reasons why you're here today. But one thing I do know about you is that you are making a positive impact on the planet. How do I know this? One of the ways I know this is through my brand. My brand is all about connecting with people who are making a positive impact on the planet. In 2015, I made my own personal mantra. And this was like for my whole life, the rest of my life, having this mission. And that mission is to have as much fun as possible, hanging out with positive and uplifting people who are making a positive impact on the planet. Now, it was interesting. The first time I actually said that out of my mouth, I was at an event. I was putting on my own event. I've put on probably about 150 events to date. And I was putting on this event and I said that out loud. And I felt, because of my background, that people pleaser that I was for so many years, I had this fear of judgment and all this stuff. When I said that, I felt like, oh my God, that was so superficial. How dare I tell people that that's my personal mission? That's how I felt. Now, how I felt was because of my past and what experiences I had. Now, what was interesting is after the event was over, so I started the event I said that, and I did a little bit of, speaking just a little bit. I introduced the actual speaker of the event because it was a nonprofit event where I'm, teaching, I'm bringing in nonprofit experts. So that's what I did is I brought in nonprofit experts and they did their talk and everything. And when it was all done, probably about 6 different women walked over to me and said, oh my God, I loved your personal mission. Here I was feeling self-conscious about this mission that I put out there because I felt it was superficial, but there were people who really loved it. And so I'm bringing that up because, we attract who we are. Who do we want to attract? If we're not attracting the people that we want to be around, then we're not being the right person. So I've attracted everybody here today. I'm gonna just stab at it 100%. 100% of the people here today are making a positive impact on the planet because that's who I've been attracting into my life for 6 years. Ever since I made that statement out loud, that's who I've been attracting. It's still my mission for my life, the rest of my life. And so I'm still attracting that, and I will continue to attract that because that's who I am. That's what I'm all about. That's who I am now. I wasn't always that person. I grew up in a very volatile, abusive, alcoholic household. My dad was, he beat my mom on a regular basis. And so growing up in that environment caused me to have a lot of fears, a lot of trepidation. It caused me to become that people pleaser I was. At 5 years old, I ran away and I was gone for an entire week. And what's the first question people ask me? Where did you go? Exactly. That is the first question because it's like this curiosity, right? So I put some curiosity into your head. I made a statement and I didn't give you any information, no details. So kind of like what Jane's talking about, like we want to have them to come to ask us the question, where did you go? Right. So I kind of left it at that, just tell a little bit of the story to do the where did you go part. Well, I just ran away to the neighbors, but I was gone for an entire week. If it were up to me, I never would have come home because I didn't come home. My mom made me come home. What I didn't know is my mom and dad knew where I was. And why is this important for the story? Because at 5 years old, I ran away and nobody came to get me. At 5 years old, I ran away, and all of the thoughts that I had were true, became true in that moment. What became true is that they don't love me because they didn't come to get me. They don't want me at home because they didn't come to get me. All of those ideas that I had about my family life came true in that moment when they didn't come to get me. What I didn't know is they knew where I was the whole time. They were in communication with a neighbor the whole time. So it started me on this spiral of nobody likes me, nobody loves me, they don't want me around, I'm unlikable. Nobody, my parents never said I love you. It wasn't a word. Like those weren't words that were spoken in the household I grew up in. So I grew up in that kind of environment. I only share that because, as I've been going through my journey this last 6 years, it was actually 6 years ago, November. So it is exactly 6 years ago that I hired a life coach who helped me to discover who I am, to discover that I am lovable, to discover that I do have value, to discover that I have a voice. So many discoveries that I made through working with my life coach. So that's actually when my life began for me. This journey of positivity, this journey of growth, this journey of self-discovery. Who am I? What's my purpose? What's my value? Do I even have a purpose on this planet? Before I hired my life coach, I remember I was driving to work. I was working for a judge in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. That was my 49th job. And so I'm driving to work, and I just was like, I hate this job. I just hated it. Another job, that I hated. I was driving to work in that traffic every day, the same old thing. Then I got to work and I was bored. I was driving to work this one particular day, and I was just so angry with the world, angry with myself, angry with the position I put myself into. Like I built my own personal prison. I was working for this judge in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which was a big deal in my line of work. I was the number 2 secretary in the entire state of California in the judicial system. But I hated it. I built this for myself. So I was like, what is my purpose? I have no purpose. This is ridiculous. I just push papers around for a judge, and I just felt like I didn't have any purpose. So what was interesting is sometimes when we ask a question, what is my purpose, was my question. I got to work that day, and on Facebook, there was this woman, and there was a message, and it said, I'm a life coach. I took some time off. I'm ready to get back into it. I'm looking for 5 women who want to change their life. She spoke to me. I didn't know who she was. I never met her. I never even saw her on Facebook. Like this is like, she just popped up out of the nowhere and there she was. So I worked with her, and it was 5 months of working with this life coach that totally put me on a whole new path. And, it's like, we hear things like people don't change, a leopard doesn't change its spots, but this leopard did change its spots. Maybe my spots weren't that deep. I don't know. But this leopard did change her spots to get into this path of where I am now. So how does this play into building a profitable network? It does, because I made a decision. That first decision was, I'm willing to invest in myself. I invested in a life coach, and she really helped me to unlock so much. But it was through that process of working with her that I ended up on the path I'm on today. And what's so cool about it was February of 2015. My life coach said to me, hey, there's this event we should go to. It was a vision board seminar. So I think you can really appreciate that. Over to Marilyn, because she does vision board seminars and stuff. But this vision board seminar, I'm like, what is that? I don't even know what that is, And she goes, no, let's go. It'll be a lot of fun. And I'm like, okay. So I went with her. It was like a $5 event, right? So we attend this $5 event. And while we're at this vision board seminar, there were speakers. So they had the vision, like tables set up for the magazines and all that stuff. So some people working on vision boards, and then they had seats set up so that you could watch, listen to the speakers. And I had never seen speakers before. I was in the corporate world for 36 years. There was really no need for me to see anything like that, you know? So I'm attending this event, and they went through the speakers and they got to the very last speaker. I didn't know until that night why I was there. I had no idea why I was there. I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, that was all I thought I was there for. It was the fun. That was the night my life totally changed. It changed into what I'm going to share with you today. So the last speaker, his name was Greg Reed. Greg Reed is an international motivational speaker. I didn't know who he was or anything, but he got up there and spoke, and he moved me. Boy, talk about a motivational speaker. He totally moved me. By the way, he'll be joining us December 5th at the Women Action Takers Network. You guys, I hope you can come and join us for that one, because it's going to be awesome. So he moved me into action. I guess I was an action taker before that, but not like I am now. It wasn't intentional action in my prior life. It was just, I was always running away from things. You know, like 5 years old, I ran away. I ran away from 49 jobs. You know, it wasn't intentional. Like, this is what I want for my life, is 49 jobs. I never thought that. I just was like, I'm always running away from things. So Greg, he spoke and really moved me. And I had this amazing time at the event. And mainly it was because of that one speaker. And at the end of the event, he made an offer for us to attend his event that he puts on called Secret Knock. And it cost $1,500 at that time. It's now $3,000, but it was $1,500 at that time. And I was like, dang, that's a lot of money. I'm not going to pay that kind of money. I really want to go, but I'm not going to pay that kind of money. So my life coach, she disappeared and came back about 5 minutes later. She goes, hey, I got my ticket to Secret Knock. Are you going? And I'm like, are you kidding? I'm not going to pay that kind of money for an event. And she looked at me square in the eyes. She got like really like right up in my face. She was like, you don't understand. You have to be there. I didn't know what she was talking about, but I did know this. She had changed my life. So I listened to her and I did it. I ended up getting a ticket for $750. Like, we did some wheeling and dealing and got a $750 ticket, which is still a lot of money to pay for an event. But I did it and I showed up. And I understood once I got there what she meant. So as I'm sitting at this event, one of the speakers was the creator, founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Frank Shankwitz. And he was on that stage. It was the second day of the event, on that stage. And there was something that he said that I'll always remember. And he said, everyone can be a hero. And it made me realize in that moment that the only thing different between me and all those speakers on the stage, all the people that were there, was that we all took different paths. I was a smart person. I didn't know it, but we all took different paths. And that was a start of a relationship. Frank Shankwitz. So I'm going to share now, just quickly. I wrote this book. It's called Momentum: 13 Lessons from Action Takers Who Changed the World. The reason I'm sharing this book is because those relationships that I've created along the way, Frank Shankwitz, who is the founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I also ended up connecting with the founder of UGG Boots. You may have heard of UGG Boots, Brian Smith. They're in this book through the relationships that I created along the way. And all of this started with an idea. I want to spend the rest of my life having as much fun as possible, hanging out with positive and uplifting people who are making a positive impact on the planet. So all of that started from that decision that I made way back then. So throughout the process of meeting people like them, I've met some other people along the way, which I'm not going to share. It's not here to it's not like a brag fest by any means, but just to share that there's visions that we have. How are we going to meet those visions? If we want them to be profitable, how do we want to make that happen? How is it going to happen in your life? If we have intention, you set intention for what it is that you want, you're much more likely to get it. Because you talk about a law of attraction. We're going to attract what we are. We're going to attract what we're putting out there into the world. Well, you have to put it out there in order to be able to attract it. So the first question I ask you is, what do you want? What do you want? So when I was getting ready to write this book, I I made a decision and I said, I'm going to have Frank in there. I'm going to have Brian in there. I'm going to have Ron. Ron is the gentleman who invented the credit card magnetic strip, the thing that probably 100% of us use at least one time in our life. I'm going to have these people in my book. And it was this idea I had. So I reached out to them. I said, hey, I'm thinking of writing a book called Momentum. Will you be in it? And each one of them said yes. They're like, of course, Lynda, just tell me what I need to do. It was because of the relationships that I had been creating along the way. But I had something that I wanted. Now I'm going to share with you four steps to creating this profitable network, or not four steps, but four tips, to creating this profitable network. And the first one is to know what you want. Because you need to know what you want in life in order to go ahead and take the trajectory that you need to take in order to get what you want. It's like we talk about the GPS, right? You can't get in the car and say, hey, GPS, take me somewhere, because it won't know where to take you. You have to tell it an exact address. So it's the same thing with our business. Like, what do you want out of your business? Who do you want to connect with? And then ask yourself this question: who has what I want? Who is the person that has what I want? So in this instance, the book, I wanted to write this book. And then I asked myself, well, who do I want to have in this book? And, who is it basically? Who has what I want? Well, they had what I wanted because I wanted their names for the book. Frankly, I'm writing my first collaboration book, and I wanted to have some people who have some kind of status. But not only that, they really taught me a lot. They taught me a lot during my journey. So they were what I wanted or who I wanted. So ask yourself that question. And then the next question to ask yourself is, where are they? Where do they hang out? Are they on social media? Are they on Instagram? I'll give an example of Gary Vaynerchuk. I actually did reach out to him, by the way. He hasn't responded yet, but Gary Vaynerchuk is a great one because he is on Instagram mostly. Like, that's mostly his thing. I think he was getting into TikTok, and he does Facebook and stuff, but Instagram is his jam. And he even tells people, hey, if you want to connect with me, private message me on Instagram. Like, he's telling you exactly what you need to do in order to connect with him. So once you know who it is that you want to connect with, you need to know where they're hanging out. Now you might be sitting there and saying, well, I don't know these people. I don't know those people. And I reached out to Forbes Riley. I didn't know her. Like, I saw her at an event. She was on stage. I ran up on the stage and got a picture with her. And then I went and sat down, and I never talked to her. I didn't know her. But so I'm writing this book called Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore. So I thought, I wonder if, and like thinking, Forbes Riley, I wonder if she's ever felt invisible. Again, I didn't know her. So I sent her this private message on Facebook. And that was my question to her. Hey, Forbes, have you ever felt invisible? Surprisingly, she responded. I had no idea. I reach out to influencers all the time because I figure, what's the worst thing that can happen? And they will never respond. If that's the worst thing, then I have nothing to lose. So I just happened to reach out to her and I said, hey, have you ever felt invisible? And it was immediate. She responded back. She goes, as a matter of fact, I have felt invisible. And I said, I'm writing a book called Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore. And I'm wondering if you're interested in taking part in that book. And she said, yeah. So she's going to be, in that book, Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore, which was really cool. Again, I knew what I wanted. I knew who I wanted. I took a stab at where I could find her. I wasn't sure if she would respond. I had no idea, but I had an intention. So I set this intention. So again, asking yourselves, like, who is it who can help me to get what I want? Now, it's not always going to be, somebody like a star or whatever. It could be like, for example, we talk about, Katrina and Raki, right? They both have something that each other wants. So now they know that, okay, we can connect with each other. How are they going to do that? Well, they did it here. But if they didn't have this, then let's say, for example, I interviewed Raki on this program and Katrina watched it. She wasn't here right now. She might say, you know what? I really want to connect with that Raki lady. Hey, Lynda, can you connect me? It could be so simple as that. Because was the Kevin Bacon, there's the like 7 degrees or 2 degrees of separation or whatever it is from Kevin Bacon thing, you know, 6, it's 6. Okay. I had 7. It's 7. Okay. It's some degrees, right? But some people are way closer than 7 degrees. Some people are only 1 degree away. And I'll give an example of that. I mean, you may have heard of that woman named Oprah Winfrey. And you know, she's absolutely amazing, right? Well, I haven't met her yet, but this story goes to like how close we are to people. So Stedman, who, and I don't know if they're still together, I don't think so, but Stedman was her boyfriend or is her boyfriend, you know, for years. And Stedman happens to live in San Diego, and he holds an event in San Diego once a month. And it's from my house, it's probably about 45-minute drive. I haven't gone yet, but I've been told about it, and I have this opportunity to connect with Stedman. Now, who knows? When I set an intention and I go there and I'm like, okay, I want to meet him tonight, and I'm going to talk to him about whatever I would talk to about. My first thing wouldn't be, hey, can you get me to Oprah? Because that's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. But it would be 1 degree of separation. So how did that happen? How did I find out about that? Because a friend of mine who I was working with her on a project, she was like, hey, if you ever want to connect with Stedman, Oprah's boyfriend, then this is the event you need to go to. So I had a friend who knew about this event. She had never been either, you know, but there's always a way for us to get connected with who we want. Like Forbes earlier, she shared about Paula Abdul, right? So she shared her story about Paula Abdul and how that happened. But we just don't know how close someone is until we start asking. But until we know what we want or who we want to connect with, we're not going to get it. So that's actually that first step, I think, is one of the most crucial steps. And then the next question, and I think Jane shared this. What's in it for them? What's in it for them? So I'll share a really quick story on this. Was kind of like one of those like aha moments, like, oh my God, right? I had this opportunity through Greg Reed, who was that gentleman who spoke at that event, the Vision Board seminar. He ended up becoming my mentor. So I ended up attending Secret Knock. I attended it 4 times as an attendee. And then I was like, I wonder what it would be like to volunteer. And so I was like, hey, can I volunteer for the event? And they're like, yeah, of course. So I ended up volunteering for Secret Knock, and I was a volunteer for 3 different events. Now, by this time, I had already put on over 100 events myself. So I had a lot of event experience. And I'm attending this event, and there is a volunteer. And then after I volunteered the 3rd time, Greg Reed's, his assistant moved. So he needed to find a new organizer for the event. And so he was like, hey, you've put on a lot of events. Do you want to organize Secret Knock? And I was like, heck yeah, this is awesome, because it is a Forbes #1 rated event to attend for entrepreneurs. Of course I'm in. I'm totally interested. So I ended up becoming the organizer of that event. And that led to other things that I had no idea what would lead to. But this one thing that happened, I had this opportunity to interview stars on the red carpet at the City Gala, which is the Academy Awards after party. And how that happened was, again, through Greg. I asked him, hey, do you think that they would let me interview stars on the red carpet? And he's like, I don't know. Why don't you ask them? Just like that. And so I was like, okay. So I knew who to ask, because it was the assistant of the organizer. So assistant to assistant. And I said, hey, can I be on the red carpet interviewing stars? And she's like, sure. So first of all, again, I went in with an intention. I knew what I wanted. I wanted to interview the stars. And I was ready to actually interview stars with my phone. I had no idea. Like I wasn't even thinking, this is like a big event. There are hundreds of people interviewing people. There's hundreds of stars walking down the red carpet, and I'm going to be there with my cell phone. So I started thinking about that as like, this is going to be ridiculous. So 3 days before the event, I I wasn't sure what to do. I'm going to have my phone. What am I going to do? Maybe I'll ask them if I can bring a videographer with me. So I reached out to Greg, my mentor, and I was like, hey, I'm going to be on the red carpet interviewing the stars. Do you think they'll let me bring my videographer with me? And Greg said, are you kidding me? What are you even asking me this question for? This is a ridiculous question. I said, well, I just want to know, do you think they'll let me? He goes, listen here. They have 100 feet of red carpet. They have all these stars coming down that red carpet. They need you. And it was really interesting because that was when I made my shift in my head and saying, what's in it for them? As I give them a call and I ask them, hey, can I, interview people on the red carpet? I'm getting what I want, but also they're getting what they need. Because when those stars rock down that carpet, they need to be interviewed the whole time. So if too many people are being, if there aren't enough interviewers and there's all these people on the carpet, they're just standing there waiting and waiting. And I did see some waiting and waiting. The person with the red carpet doesn't want that. They want people moving through. They want them to be able to get those interviews so that they can get more publicity. Everybody wants that publicity. So in that moment, I was like, oh my God, you're kidding. I'm doing them a favor, So if we can switch our mindset into how can we do what it is that we do? How can we get what we want? And we realize that how what we give and what we offer can provide a value and a solution for them. You just have to figure out what that is. What do they want? What's in it for them? So why would Forbes Riley want to be in a book with Lynda Sunshine West? I'm still asking myself that one, but that's okay because she said yes. But, why would she want to be in a book with me? Well, because it's another opportunity for her to get in front of another audience that is not her audience. Now, it doesn't happen every time, but it happens a lot of times. So you'll have some people that you'll encounter that won't be interested if you don't have a big enough following. And that's okay. Just move on. Keep looking. There's this gentleman, his name is John Lee Dumas. He's a podcaster. He's done thousands of podcasts. And I was at an event, social media marketing world, where I volunteered. I love volunteering because it gets you into places that you wouldn't normally get into. So I'm volunteering at this event. And what I did was a speaker handler. So I had like 30 speakers that I handled for the event. And John Lee Dumas happened to be one of the speakers that I was handling. So I set an intention that day. I said, hey, I'm going to see if I can get John Lee Dumas, if I can interview him. And so what happened was he spoke. After he was done speaking, I just walked right up to him and I said, hey, I have this interview platform and I was wondering if I could interview you. And what he said to me was another epiphany. He said to me, I get asked by thousands of people every year to be interviewed. I don't have enough time to be interviewed by everybody. But anytime somebody asks me in person, I say yes. So he set a boundary, like Michelle was talking about, and his boundary was to say yes if people ask me in person. Like that was his boundary. I happened to ask him in person, so we got 15 minutes. And literally, I'm so glad I'm a person. I'm on time, right? Because the interview was exactly 15 minutes to the minute, and I didn't take another second of his time. So what was in it for him in that instance? Just, I guess, that the power of him being able to, stick to his boundary. Maybe that was all it was. Maybe that's all it was. But I got a lot out of that because I learned a lot. I learned again about the power of the asking for what we want. Sometimes we will be met with resistance, and that's okay. Don't let that stop you from asking. Just don't let that stop you from asking. Keep asking for what you want, but go out there knowing what it is that you want and then creating that relationship, that we talk about. You got to create relationships and all this stuff. Well, yeah, we do have to create relationships, but they don't have to take weeks or months to do. Sometimes it's a matter of minutes. I've had many relationships that when I've connected with people, And I believe it's through our heart, like my heart. I connect with them through my heart and their heart. When we make that kind of connection, it's instant. Love at first sight. We've heard that before, right? But connections at first sight is the same kind of thing. It's through that heart connection that we're making with them. I've had so many people that I've connected with just based on that alone, and it happens quickly. So I ask you again, what do you want? Is it possible that somebody here sitting on this screen right now has what you want? But if you don't know what you want, we cannot help you. You have to know what you want. It all starts there. And it's not about like grabbing things or taking things from people, but it's about just living your life, fulfilling it to the best of your ability. I shared earlier that my dad was very abusive. My mom and dad were together for 55 years. And my dad passed away. And then 3 years later, my mom ended up passing away. But 2 weeks before she died, she kind of pulled me aside and said, hey, Lynda, I've lived my life with so many regrets. There's so many things I didn't do because I allowed dad to stop me. And I want you to make sure that you live the rest of your life with no regrets. That one little thing that my mom said to me was what set me on that path of having as much fun as possible, hanging out with positive and uplifting people, changing the planet. And that's what's led me to what I'm doing now. Like, I do things because I want to do them. Why did I do this summit? It's not for me to make a lot of money. That's not what this is about. This is about because I'm doing what I love to do. I love to bring people together. So I'm incorporating what I love to make sure that I'm living my life, having as much fun as possible, hanging out with positive and uplifting people, which is who's here today. So it's really beautiful when we know what we want. Since that's all I want, when I go to networking events, I literally walk in with the intention to meet 2 amazing people. That's my intention. And guess what happens? I meet 2 amazing people when I attend those events. So I just want to wrap it up with, I'm just so grateful that you are all here spending this time with me. When we went into this COVID lockdown, I went through a really tough time, and I didn't even know why until I held one of my networking events. I didn't know it. I was in depression. I was just sitting there doing nothing. No value. I was like a zombie on social media. That's what I was doing. And then I said, you know what? Because I used to hold in-person events. I had never done an online event before. It was always in person. And I saw other people starting to do these meetings online, these networking meetings online. And I was like, I guess I'll go ahead and, I was almost against my own thoughts, but I was like, I guess I'll go ahead and do my meeting online. Everybody else is doing it. I'll just follow their lead, And so I did it. And the very first Women Action Takers networking event that was online, it was 3 weeks after the pandemic. And we got online. I was the first one on. And then somebody popped on. And then somebody else popped on. And I didn't know what was happening, but I realize now what happened. I had an immediate surge of energy. I'm a people person. I need to be around people. Even if it is on a Zoom box, I'm still around people. And so that was when I realized that, oh my God, I've been depressed. Being around these kinds of people, these uplifting, positive people is what I need. And I wasn't getting that on social media. So having this kind of interaction, for me, this is absolutely amazing. And what I'm getting out of today, I hope you are getting some of this too. But what I'm getting from today is just hanging around some amazing people. And I'm getting emotional just thinking about it, because this is what my life is all about. I can get to the last breath that I take and say, I lived my life with no regrets. And I can honor my mom's wishes. So with that, thank you so much for being here. And I hopefully that was helpful for you to be in a profitable network. I can see this. It's so weird. I want to hear, yeah. Awesome. So thank you. Root in the house. What's funny, Jane, I just want to share this really quickly before we move to our next our next speaker, who is Katrina. And oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, we are like on time. How do you like that? Not bad for starting an event at 7:05 a.m. But it's interesting because I want to ask Trainer Jane, this question. Because you teach about sales and about the pitches and all that stuff, right? So the in-person events that I've attended, I don't even know how many, but all those painstaking networking events of like, oh my God, I got to walk in and meet people. So I'm what's known as a shy extrovert. I'm actually shy to approach people, but once I've approached them, I'm okay. And I just take off. I'm this, oh, you can't shut me up, which, as you can see. But what I used to do at the networking events, I want to share this really quickly, what I used to do. And I just want to hear your feedback from it. Okay. So there, get up, and it's my turn, right? And I would normally stand up, but I'm not going to do that because I can't. We're in this space I'm in right now. And I would do this. Da 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 da. I would stop myself from sinking when I read this stinking thinking. If I only had a brain, a heart, a home, courage. Courage is the opposite of fear. And then I would talk about my fear stuff because I've done a lot of fear breaking. But the reason I wanted to bring that up, because while that's not a pitch, is it a hook? Curious.
Well, it definitely grabs attention. Absolutely. So it served that purpose for sure. And it was fun. I gave you my 3 eyes. Do you guys remember them?
I wrote them down. Interested?
Good.
Oh my God, shoot, where'd it go? Anybody else interested?
Interest, inform, and inspired.
Inspired.
Awesome.
There we go.
Awesome. Yeah. So you were interesting from the very beginning, right? So how you would use that then in the rest of the presentation to then be informative, that sort of thing. But yeah, you grabbed our attention. Every single one of us was looking. We're like, what? She's singing now? Some of us started swaying, we're singing along, that sort of thing. So that's great. Using it for you, and then of course it depends on how you're presenting. At our event, of course, selling on the spot marketplace, if you are using that as part of a story to lead into what you're selling, I'd be like, good on you. We've had people sing there. We've had all sorts of fun and creative things. And yeah, it generally works. Just tie it in, of course, to your presentation, which I presume you would have.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Because I've been thinking about that ever since it was like a couple of weeks ago when I was on Selling on the Spot, because I was like, I want to do that, but I don't know if that's appropriate, so I just didn't do it. But it's interesting because grabbing that attention, right? So how can we grab attention, but not annoying attention? And so that's the thing is I want to draw attention so that people can feel me. And that's the one thing, music is worldwide. And so we can connect through music. So that's why I kind of started doing that. What's funny about it is I ended up becoming known as the lady who would sing. So one time at the networking event, I didn't sing. And everybody was asking me, why didn't you sing? I was like, oh, I just didn't feel like it today. If I didn't know that people were expecting it. So it's kind of fun.
Well, it wasn't so much of an attention grabbing song, or it wasn't like, hey, look at me. It was a warm, fun song that I think we recognized, whether everybody instantly recognized where it was from or not. So it pulled us in versus the salesy kind of, hey, look at me, I'm going to sell you this. That's what we don't do.
Right.
Right.
Awesome.
So it was a song that was welcoming and warm and comfortable. And we already know you at this point. So we
That's
also
true.
have that know, like, and trust factor with you.
That's true. Well, awesome. Thank you. I had to ask because what was it? Michelle said, if I don't ask when I'm thinking about it, I will forget. And, there I was thinking about it for like 3 weeks. So, so now I've asked it. Just ask in front of everybody. Why not? Hey, that's how I roll. Either you like me for it or you don't. And that's okay. That's okay. So I'm going to stop that recording.